You know, we always ask, why do smart, capable people fall for scams? The answer is pretty unsettling, because it has almost nothing to do with how smart you are and everything to do with your biology. Today, we're going to do a forensic breakdown of how professional scammers have learned to weaponize one of the most basic human conditions, pure exhaustion. We're going inside what's called the overload moment to show you a clinical psychological attack that isn't designed to fool your brain, it's designed to bypass it completely. It's a strategy that just waits for your mind to be too tired to put up a fight, and then it turns your own body against you. Just think about that scenario. It's not a random accident. It is the final, perfectly calculated move in a game you didn't even know you were playing. The person on the other end of that line, they're not just some petty criminal. They're what's known as a decision hijacker, a specialist who gets your brain's daily energy cycle better than you do. They've targeted you on purpose, at your biological low point, that precise window of vulnerability when all your cognitive defenses are down. And what feels like a helpful shortcut in a moment of total stress is actually a very sophisticated trap, sprung at the exact second you are least able to see it coming. Okay, so let's dive into how this whole exploit is built, and more importantly, how you can build a permanent firewall against it. All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the core vulnerability the whole attack relies on. We'll call it the exhaustion backdoor. Then we're going to analyze the toxic environment scammers create, known as the cognitive red line trap. Next, we'll dissect the anatomy of a hijack step by step. After that, we'll get into the psychology of hacking your brain's battery. From there, we shift from problem to solution and build your strategic defense protocol. And finally, we're going to distill all of this down into one simple, incredibly powerful idea: the morning rule. So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Scammers don't look for gullible people. They look for tired people. See, exhaustion isn't just a feeling. In the world of these psychological exploits, it's a security breach. You can think of it like a back door that's been left wide open in your mind's operating system. It's a real physiological state that just systematically shuts down the defenses in your prefrontal cortex. You know, the part of your brain that handles logic, reason, and saying, hang on a second. And that makes your mind the perfect target for a hostile takeover. And this gets us to the central paradox of the whole attack. When you're mentally fried at the end of the day, a complicated problem that shows up with a simple, urgent solution feels like a gift from heaven. The hijacker on the phone, they'll use all this technical jargon, words like asynchronous encryption, not really to confuse you, but to make themselves sound like the expert who can just lift this heavy weight off your shoulders. And this is so important. You're not failing an intelligence test here. This is a clinical assault on what scientists call your brain's executive battery. And when that battery is empty, your brain's main goal changes. It stops caring about being accurate and starts caring only about one thing: getting to rest. So, how do scammers make sure you're in that vulnerable state? Well, here's the scary part. They don't just hope you're tired. They actively work to push you past your breaking point. This is the cognitive red line trap. It's a method for intentionally creating a mental fog so thick that your own common sense can't see through it. They are literally creating a controlled environment right there over the phone with one single purpose: to turn off your logic. And this whole trap is built on something we all know well: decision fatigue. Every single choice you make all day, from what to wear to how to write that tricky email, it all drains a limited supply of mental energy. It's a real measurable thing. And once it's gone, your security reflex, that little voice in your head that whispers, wait a minute, this feels weird, it goes completely silent. This whole game is built on finding people who are at the very end of their daily decision-making rope, and then just giving it one final tug. So let's look at how they do it. They come at your brain from all sides at once. First, they create this storm of complexity, using all that jargon to make you feel out of your depth. Then, they add what's called sensory saturation, a frantic tone of voice, maybe fake call center sounds in the background, constantly telling you that time is running out. This kicks your brain into fight or flight mode. Then they rush you, framing some huge issue as a simple yes or no choice that you have to make right now. And finally, they just wear you down, asking you to make a bunch of tiny, meaningless choices to burn off whatever fuel you have left. The goal of this whole assault is to push you right past your cognitive limit. The endgame here isn't just to get you to click a link. It's to push you into a state of cognitive surrender. This is a really disorienting place, psychologically, where you get so overwhelmed that you give in to what's called institutional submission. Basically, you stop trusting your own gut and you just start blindly following the orders of the so-called expert on the phone. And, the financial loss is obviously devastating, but for so many victims, the real trauma is realizing their own mind was used as a weapon against them. All right, now let's map out the actual attack sequence. This is not some random conversation, it is a clinical, repeatable playbook. Think of it as the Choice Architecture Hijack. A pro scammer runs through these 5 steps with the precision of an intelligence operative. Every single step is designed to make you more tired and to transfer control from you to them. It's really less of a crime of deception and more a crime of psychological engineering. Okay, let's break this down. Step 1 is cognitive priming. That call at 5:30 p.m., that's on purpose. They use jargon to create a volition deficit. That's a state where you're so sick of making decisions, you just want an expert to handle it. Step 2 is the multi-option crisis hook. This is where they give you some fake, meaningless technical choice just to burn out the last of your brain power. Then, step 3, they offer you the path of least resistance. After grinding you down, they present that one simple click, the easy button, which leads right to step 4, the extraction phase. You're not making a choice anymore. You're just taking the fastest path to making the noise stop. And finally, step 5 is the morning after trap. You wake up rested, your rational brain is back online, and that's when the horror hits you. The help they gave you was the heist.
This question right here, this is the kill shot. It's a masterpiece of twisted psychology because it's designed to be confusing. You burn the last of your mental fuel just trying to figure out what it even means. The moment you say, I don't know, you choose. You've just flipped a switch. You've gone from being in control of your situation to being a follower. You've outsourced your decision. You've handed them the keys.
So why is this so brutally effective on pretty much everyone, no matter how educated or street smart they are? Well, the answer is in the basic operating system of the human brain. These scammers aren't just good liars. They're basically intuitive neuroscientists. They're exploiting a fundamental, hardwired limitation that we all have. The core concept here is called ego depletion theory, and the easiest way to get it is to think of your willpower and your ability to think logically as a phone battery. You start the day at 100%, every decision you make, every temptation you resist, it drains that battery. And this is not a metaphor for being weak, it is a documented biological fact. Scammers have just figured out that the best time to attack is when that battery hits 0, because a brain with no power can't run its antivirus software. This slide just lays it out perfectly. It shows the 2 states of mind, the battlefield where this all happens. On the left, you've got your normal, rested, analytical brain. It asks questions, it's skeptical, it spots red flags. But on the right, you have the exhausted brain. It doesn't want more questions, it just wants quiet. It doesn't want to verify anything, it just wants simplicity. The scammer's entire job is to use stress and complexity to shove you from the left column over into the right one. And once you're there, you're not looking for the right answer anymore. You're just looking for any answer that will make it all stop. So scammers keep you locked in that exhausted state using something we can call the beta brain trap. By using urgent language and background noise, they keep your brain producing high-frequency beta waves. That's the brain state for anxiety and stress, where calm, logical thought gets shut down. Then they exploit the easy-out heuristic, which is just our brain's natural tendency to grab the simplest option when we're tired. And maybe the most insidious part, they pretend to be a cognitive crutch, that calm, helpful expert who's going to guide you through the very chaos that they created in the first place. Okay, so we've analyzed the threat, we've dissected the playbook, we understand the psychology. Now we pivot from analysis to action. And listen, this is not about becoming more paranoid. This is about creating a pre-planned, automatic protocol that you can just run when you're under pressure and not thinking clearly. It's time to stop just defending and start building a real firewall for your mind. The foundational rule for protecting yourself couldn't be simpler, but it's profound. Your energy is your security. You have to start thinking about your cognitive energy not as just a mood, but as a critical security asset, just like your passwords. If your mental battery is low, your defenses are down, period. Protecting your energy, especially at the end of the day, is no longer just a wellness tip, it is a core security practice. So the very first step in your new protocol is what I call the fatigue audit. It's a simple yes or no question you have to train yourself to ask automatically anytime an urgent, complex problem lands in your lap. The question is just, am I tired or stressed right now? If the answer is yes, you have to assume, no exceptions, that your risk of being manipulated has just gone through the roof. This isn't about how you feel. It's a cold, hard threat assessment. If that fatigue light is blinking, certain actions are just off the table. And based on that audit, you deploy your cognitive pacing rules. These are strict policies you make for yourself when you're calm and rested, so you can rely on them when you're not. First up is the sunset rule. You make a personal, unbreakable rule to never authorize money transfers or change passwords after your workday is done. Just don't. Second, the 12-hour rule.
When you're in doubt about any urgent decision, your default response is to wait 12 hours. It gives you a full cognitive reset. And third, if you're on a call and you feel your heart pounding, use the theta state defense. Take one slow, deep breath. In for 4 seconds, out for 6. That simple physical act can stop stress hormones in their tracks and pull your brain out of that high anxiety beta state. And this right here, this is your most powerful weapon. This is your eject button. Memorize this script. It's not a question, it's a declaration. It is a polite but completely non-negotiable way to get out of a high-pressure situation. You state your limit, you declare what you're going to do, which is contact the official source yourself, and you end the call. You don't ask for permission, you announce your protocol. You're basically deploying a security patch that your arrested self created to protect your tired self. And you know why this script is so brilliant? Because it's also a perfect test. A scammer, whose entire plan depends on you being rushed and tired in that moment, will immediately switch to panic mode. They'll threaten you, tell you your account's about to be closed, some disaster is about to happen. Their whole system needs you to be tired. But a real professional from your bank, they'll hear that and they'll completely understand. They'll probably even thank you for being cautious, because their job is your actual security, not your panicked obedience. All of these defenses, all of this analysis, every single tactic we've talked about, it can all be boiled down to one final, powerful, and incredibly simple principle. This is the ultimate defense. If you remember absolutely nothing else from our time together, please remember this. Let this one sink in. The single most important takeaway is this. If you are too tired to think critically about a decision, then you are, by definition, too tired to consent to it. Your exhaustion invalidates your yes. And recognizing that isn't a weakness. It is your single greatest strategic strength. It's the absolute heart of the morning rule. Giving true consent is a cognitive act. It requires a fully charged battery. Without one, you're not really making a choice at all. And this is the mantra to lock it all in. This is the script you run in your own head when the pressure builds and your energy is shot. When the choices get complex and the clock is ticking, I stop, I breathe, and I wait for morning. Look, this isn't about avoiding your problems. It's strategic patience. Because a real problem will still be there after a good night's sleep, ready for a clear mind to solve it. A scam, though? A scam is a creature of pressure and darkness. It simply cannot survive in the light of day.